Wow. So I'm starting the live stream 15 minutes early because I have a theory that Jitsi around the top of the hour has a lot of people trying to live stream or record and probably be at 5:44 p.m. in Europe. It had a lot of people from their 5 o'clock calls have dropped off, and now it's easier. We'll see. I don't even know that this live stream is working, but basically, you're going to have 15 minutes of black. There we go. Ah! Why are you watching this? Don't watch Giveth governance meetings. I mean, listen, they're here. If you really want to, you can, for sure. But my God, skip ahead at least. Skip ahead for yourself. Do it for you, man. We have 15 minutes before this thing even starts. It's going to be so boring. Please, find something better to do than watch Giveth governance meetings. Come to the governance meetings. This is only really here so that people can refer back to them. And this is not the part people need to refer to. So, see you guys in 15 minutes. But actually, I'm going to test and see if the YouTube works. Oh, it says we're live streaming now. I don't even know that this live stream is working, but basically, you're going to have 15 minutes of black. There we go. Ah! Why are you watching this? Don't watch Giveth governance meetings. I mean, listen, they're here. If you really want to, you can, for sure. But my God, skip ahead at least. Skip ahead for yourself. Do it for you, man. We have 15 minutes before this thing even starts. It's going to be so boring. Please, find something better to do than watch Giveth governance meetings. Come to the governance meetings. This is only really here so that people can refer back to them. And this is not the part people need to refer to. So, see you guys in 15. Wow, it's working great. Hey, Kai.
Hey man, wow, it's loud. Is Chris in Thailand yet?
I believe he's on the airplane. I don't think he's here yet. I don't know what his flight schedule is, honestly, though.
Yeah, we should be better at sharing those.
I have the sheet. Let me think. He might show up, maybe. I mean, I know he left like probably 12 hours ago. He could be on
more even.
Yeah, I guess more. You're right. Well, he had to leave to the airport 3 hours after that meeting, so yeah, I guess you're right, like 20 hours ago.
So how are you, man? How's life?
Great, man. You know, the Argon DAC stuff is so much work sometimes, man. And it's one of those times, like this last couple weeks, it's just really hard with the ether crash, and we didn't hedge any of our ether into DAI, and so we just ran out of money, and it's just been, you know, a real challenge to like figure out what to do to make it till that we can ask for more money. Which is in.
Well, it looks like stuff would maybe relax. Hey, man, a little more.
Oh, hey, Josh.
Hola.
Yeah, man, this ether bump has been fantastic. Thank God. You know.
Did we get a rise? Did we?
Yeah.
I've got charts in the year since we went 20K down to fucking nothing.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like it got down to, I don't know, 80 or 70. I don't know how low it got, but to be back in like the hundreds is so nice.
Are we? Nice. Okay. Oh, I'm just checking the charts now to get on the good news. See where we're at.
It's funny what people will take after some time, and when confronted with like, I don't know, something very extreme.
Yeah. Dude, it's 116. It just keeps climbing.
Bitcoin I know.
4,200. Jeez. Bitcoin Cash. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, there's been a fair bit of a boost going on with all the different ones. There's a lot of talk about it being the short cover for Christmas.
Thank God.
So all the sellers put shorts on stuff are taking it off because it's high risk, and the evidence apparently is BCH because it's done it more than all the rest of them because it's the highest risk of all of them.
Interesting.
So says the theoreticians and the speculators of the places.
It sounds like a good theory. Why not?
Yeah, I'll roll with it. Hey, Danny.
Yeah. Hey, Danny.
Hello. I'm in the car, so I'm going to stay muted as much as possible.
No worries.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael.
Hey.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get quorum here. Chris, from the airport?
Hey, no, we actually checked in exactly 5 minutes ago in the hotel, so I just made it here.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Are you in Bangkok?
Yeah. I am in Bangkok. My camera is doing something strange. I don't even see myself. But yeah, I'm in Bangkok.
Yeah,
I see the top of you.
Yeah, it's strange. It's like my camera is like...
There you are.
Does it have something?
Like your hide the camera thing?
But it's the ident 3 thingy that I have on there. I don't know what it's doing.
It's moved.
Ah, there we are.
Oh, it's coming back up. Oh no. Nice.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, so we just arrived. It was a bit chaotic, but we made it.
Nice. Okay. Well, I think we have quorum to start. What did you do this? Oh, this is the first community meeting, right? Boom. Giveth community meeting.
Yay.
So we start these bad boys off with, what did you do this week? Who wants to start? Oh, so say intentions for the meeting, distractions, and what did you do this week? Who wants to start?
I can go. Intentions, distractions, and what we did, huh? Intent, participate in community meeting and find out more about what's going on in the governance of Giveth. Intent, distractions, wanting to see some very close friends of mine that I've not seen in a year that are across home, gives us a car. Things done has what day is it? Thursday in this week. So it's kind of been, I think it's been wiki stuff. I've been dealing with that at the minute. I can't really remember what I've been at. So I'll pass it over just to be quick. Danny. Illegal move. Chris.
1 second. I haven't set my second screen up yet, so I have to move back. So yeah, intention of the meeting to have a quick and efficient meeting because I still have to work a little bit on the rolls because I was traveling. Distractions, party street in the background, I would say. Then what did I do this week? So I had a very energizing meeting with Danny and Abby this week, from Abby from Human Ventures, on a possible collaboration on which we'll tell more later for sure. But they're extremely aligned with what we want to do. It's a sort of shark tank for blockchain for good, something like this, or for
that's
for social good in general. Then I had a meeting on like Aragon stuff with tattoo and Aragon branding. I worked quite a bit on the Aragon DAC website, which is coming up. We had Danny's onboarding unicorn meeting. Quite some feedback behind the scenes on the Crypto Christmas Medium post and Crypto Christmas website in general. Traveling to Bangkok and then on Saturday to Chiang Mai. And there's probably other stuff I'm forgetting, but that's what I wrote down, and I give it to Kai.
Hey guys, I just created some, hey Griff, who did you search before the meeting as note taker?
We have Lorelai here, although I'm sure she'd rather pass it off to Josh if he's into it.
It was a bit mean, but I would like to do it like this. Like if we have a meeting, just like say who's doing the notes beforehand. I actually created some, if you can open them in the chat of GT.
Opened it. I'm just seeing if I can edit it. If I can.
Yeah, please. Okay, cool. I can help you as well. So I did just more stuff on the website, did some helping for Crypto Christmas, made the picture, rallied some other people to help or try to. And spoke a little to Josh, where I hope like next week's work will be a little more in the wiki. I started to prepare by approaching like Dani and trying to find some of the things we can add as information on the wiki for the next overhaul. And travel to the countryside, this and that, participated in the meetings, and wrote a fallback plan for video recording, which would be nice if we can like meet up next week somewhere and talk about this. So in video and in notes, that's the important thing. It would be nice to be now also just like reflected in the roles thing. It's something we should be stricter about, because in my mind we have to handle this documentation as a community, because there's so many bolts. So that's the wish I have a little. And otherwise my intention is, let's bring Lumios, and I'm not distracted, and give it to Michael.
Hi, everybody. So my intentions is just to see what everybody's up to, and then I'm interested in the Lumios as well. Distractions, not too much right now, although the holiday stuff is starting to creep in a little bit. Just on updates, so fundraising, just been reorganizing the fundraising spreadsheet that I think Chris and Jessica had created, just adding some more columns and adding things like probabilities and things like that. Started to create introduce Griff and others to this group called Parachute Token. And we're trying to sort of get a meeting going at some point. But in the meantime, they're very interested in our crypto Christmas stuff, and they're starting to promote it, and they have a community of 2,000 or 3,000 people too. Also, Griff and I were trying to connect with Long Now Foundation. We had a meeting set up, but unfortunately we're going to have to reschedule with them. And then also doing a lot of stuff on the DApp. Just today, I'm restructuring the DApp meeting process more into a sprint. And I shared the that sort of meeting template in the DApp core channel, and been talking to Wojtek about it. And also I have some suggestions for how the Lumio, the weekly kind of Lumio stuff fits into that, but we can talk about that if we have time. Set up that Lumio that you saw for sort of that kind of learning monthly session. Lots of stuff related to the DApp this week, some significant stuff, lots of discussions with Wojtek and Griff and Danny about that. Set up a kind of a preliminary roadmap now, because I think things are much more clear in terms of where we're going. And also preparing a job description for some additional help with the DApp now that Wojtek is kind of moving in a sort of different direction. So we need some help there. So I've connected with some developers in the Ukraine. I'm going to be talking with them tomorrow, just on a very preliminary way, just to see if they have the right skill set. But they've also been working on a kind of DAO-fied donation DApp, so they seem to have the right skill set, and that's been verified with Wojtek. Did some edits for that Grace 8 project, and I went through the whole Google Drive because I wanted to understand it better, and I'm going through a bunch of the DApp documentation right now, so I'm just catching up with all the presentations and the other documents that have been created. And who else? Who can I'll pass it to Lorelei.
Thank you for taking note that I'm here. I this week have done a lot of roles process stuff, a lot of bugging all of you. We onboarded Danny, or had a commitment meeting, unicorn commitment meeting for Danny. I made a crypto Christmas card that was too psychedelic for Giveth, so it got booted from our stack, but the rest of the world loves it. And I wrote a one-pager for people wanting to get funding from the Unicorn DAC, how to make milestones and flow into that, and a lot of other things. Got my scuba diving certification. And my intentions for this meeting are, I'm excited to just hear people's responses to the proposal with whitelisting reviewers and maybe just put our heads together about that a little bit. Sounds like there's some more refined strategies we could come up with together, some amendments. I am distracted. Yeah, I feel distracted by preparing for the roles meeting and being sleepy. I will pass it to Griff.
Yay. Let's see. So I also did a bunch of crypto Christmas stuff. I made a card, although it wasn't as good as most of other people's cards. And I lost my sheet. There it is. And we set up an XDAI. We actually finished setting up the XDAI validator node. We did a lot. There was a lot of crypto Christmas stuff, editing blog posts and rallying support from our community and other communities, and just getting people excited about it, as well as trying to make sure that things are working on the DApp, which was really probably the biggest thing that I did, was just trying to deal with all the DApp issues and talk with Wojtek and try to figure out ways that this can all work going forward. Worked on the newsletter with Josh, and did an open source block explorer call. There was some white hat group stuff. Changed the name for open source block explorer actually to decentralized data now, which is interesting. Talked to this group called the Trojan Foundation, which is a bunch of artists. I think Michael might have connected me to these guys. The bunch of artists in Athens that want to basically do kind of what we're doing with the token bonding curves and curation market. So it's an interesting connection, and I think I'll actually be sitting in on one of their, or calling into one of their meetings on Saturday. Have some more XDAI validator stuff cropping up here and there. And I'm sure, and obviously a bunch of Aragon stuff, a little bit of IDEN 3, a little bit of DApp node, all sorts of random stuff cropping up. But that's most of the Giveth stuff. And how about Bowen?
How about Bowen?
Oh, wait. My intentions are just to have a good meeting and go forward with these Lumio proposals relatively quickly, and to and I'm distracted by nothing other than being a little tired. Bowen.
Good morning. How's it going? It's been a rather interesting week so far. I realized that it's not just good enough to chop out the hours of the material from Burning Man. You actually need to listen to the entire thing. So I'm about 10 hours into the process of going through 42 gigabytes of audio, trying to find what's usable. And you know, as always, it's watching the bridge contract as the security guard and getting the payments out. We had our first DAI milestone payout the end of last week, which was really cool. Let's see. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm still kind of discombobulated from being sick all day yesterday. My intentions for the meeting are to hear what everybody else thinks about the Lumios. And I'm only slightly distracted by being hungry. And so I'll pass it back to Griff.
Did everyone go?
I believe so.
Wow.
I think I heard everybody go.
Oh, that's right. Danny dropped off. Okay, so the first Lumio. Okay, so there are a few Lumios. I think the first one is just worthy of an announcement. There is the DApp issue prioritization. So get in there. Don't be afraid to hit the little upside down carrot at the top of the corner in Lumio. Here, I'll just paste this link here. If anyone's bored at any time during this meeting, they can count some dots out. And don't be afraid to add an issue And please, if you know anyone who's using the DApp, have them add issues and that they care about to GitHub and to this list. And this is going to happen every week. Hopefully we'll get this up earlier next week, probably like Tuesday or something like that, so there's more time to look at it. But it gets turned in every Friday to Wojtek, and whatever gets voted on, you know, those are the issues that they'll prioritize. So make sure, please make sure that if you have troubles with the DApp, you have a way to make those troubles go away. Okay.
And it rhymes.
Yeah. It's even the same word. It's almost sounds like it. Okay. So now we have the next thread, which is Lorelei thread. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, comment.
I just wanna raise something because I was thinking about this Lumio a little bit. Not just this one, just the Lumio process and how it relates. And I was talking to Wojtek a little bit about this too, but I think I think there's a couple of things with the Lumios we have to kind of take into consideration. One is that I looked at this week's Lumio and last week's, and so what we have is essentially a lot of, obviously, like last week's priorities are still in this week's list, right? And so I think we just have to be careful that if an issue has been voted on and let's say Wojtek or someone else is already addressing that issue, that is, it's ongoing, I don't think we want to get into a situation where we're reprioritizing that issue. So anything that's ongoing or completed, I think, has to be not in the next week's Lumio, because it would just be weird if, say, Wojtek is half through the issue and then all of a sudden we deprioritize that issue and prioritize some other issue, and it just gets really confusing for him, I think. So I think we should stick to issues that we prioritized in previous weeks can go back into the hopper for the following week, and we can still have an opportunity to prioritize or reprioritize. But anything that's already ongoing, I think we should take out of the Lumio, and I can make sure that doesn't happen. But curious what people think, because I think for Wojtek, I think what I would like to do anyways, and is move things into the kind of GitHub Kanban, so we can have the agreed upon priority list goes in that hopper in the Kanban, and then we have to check also with Wojtek to make sure what can he actually do in that week that's not overwhelming him. All right, so some of those issues he'll be able to address within that period. Some issues might have to be bumped to the following week. And that kind of just has to be managed a little bit. So I think for him, he can just take those issues, take the one at the top in the Kanban, start working on it into the ongoing, and then complete it. And then we can review those ones that he didn't get to, put it back into the Lumio, and then people can add new ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. As long as it's simple, you know. If it's
it'll be like I'll take care of the complications, but for everybody here, it'll be really simple, and for Wojtek, it's simple, and that's sort of the goal. Is I don't want really Wojtek to get all confused about us reprioritizing issues that he thought was a priority, and then next week it's not a priority, because every week we could be voting on the same issue and changing his priority.
Yeah, but sometimes people won't look in the next week, and they might add an issue. And
that's okay, totally okay.
Yeah, you know, like they might add an issue that was actually voted on last week. That's
okay, as long as it's what I'm thinking. As long as Wojtek isn't already working on that issue, if he's already addressing it, then we don't really need to re-vote on it, I don't think.
So to me, it seemed like there was some issues that were prioritized from last week that, like, I assume Wojtek is working on, but there's no evidence on GitHub that he is. Like, he's not.
That's right.
He's not interacting with it on GitHub at all. So how.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly.
How is anyone supposed to know if it's being worked on?
Exactly, and I think that's why I'm suggesting that in the GitHub Kanban, that, and I talked to him about this already, that if he's working on it, it's going to go into the ongoing section of the Kanban so people can see that he's working on that issue.
Yeah.
Which is not what we've done, agreed so far. Like, we just agreed to have a Lumio. So that's why I feel like we're missing that step. And also, he needs to be, I don't think we can just bombard him with all these issues. And, he has to have some say on, can I address all those 10 issues, or what's actually feasible within that five-day period?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's that, like, what, the top how many get chosen.
Yeah, exactly. And those that don't, we can just, sorry.
I said that my impression was that the top, like, 4 or 5 of those issues from the voting were passed along to him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. I think that'll make it simpler for everybody too.
I like an ongoing tab or label. I mean, that sounds nice. I of course, if ongoing ends up having 20 things on the list, then we'll readdress or something. But for now, I think it sounds good.
Yeah. Just to say, Griff, I think that's not going to happen, because what we're going to do is those weekly DAP meetings are going to turn into weekly sprint meetings. And the first thing we're going to do in those meetings is review the priorities from last week's Lumio to see how it's going, what's going on with those. And right in that meeting, we can, if things have been completed, we move it to completed, but we have to see how, and then we can agree on what's the priority for the upcoming week. That way we're always managing that ongoing section, and it never turns into 20, 30 things in the ongoing section.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay, perfect.
Can I just get a clarifying question? So you want to take the output of the Lumio and turn it into an issue so it's waterfall for Wojciech?
Yeah, like I want to create a new, Wojciech just gave me ownership so I can actually create new boards in the GitHub Kanban. But basically I want to, so we've got the one column, which is just 100 or so issues. But I want to take the ones that we prioritize and put it into a new board, which we call, let's say, Lumio priorities. And then, and those will be organized in order. And then from there, part of the DAP weekly meeting is kind of like a sprint in a way, to sort of a planning meeting for a sprint, whereby we just review those top things and we agree with Wojciech, how many of those can he address this week? And he'll go through those, take those off, and then his responsibility will be to move those into ongoing and completed. And if by chance he forgets, whatever, the following week's meeting is the first thing we're going to do is go back and check what happened from the previous week.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, ZenHub is a beautiful thing that turns GitHub issues into like a Kanban Trello type board. So definitely check it out, install it, and we use it all over the place.
You not need to pay a license for that. I was previously looking at it for Pillar, going, that looks nice. I've been recommended that. That looks really nice. But then the cost was prohibitive in kind of implementing without buying.
I thought it was free. Am I wrong?
It's a free plugin for Chrome.
Huh. Okay.
It doesn't actually do anything to GitHub. All it does is it reorganizes and displays the information that's already there in a way that makes it look like awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's my favorite plugin I've downloaded this year.
Okay, I guess then they're probably using ZenHub as software management back, because my understanding was ZenHub was like a project management suite that interfaces with GitHub and does all the prettifying and all that stuff. So maybe the software plugin, if they're already using ZenHub, you can see how they've already arranged and stuff just by plugging it in and looking.
Well, as far as I can tell, all it does is it just displays information differently. So it's just basically making a it's like a CSS that overlays on top of GitHub that displays all of the issues in columns and cards rather than just like lines on a page. That's all it's doing. It's not reorganizing any information at all. It's even the tags are the same colors and stuff.
Okay, so are there any more comments on the issue prioritization, Lemio?
Was that
Okay,
the whole
cool.
reaction round, or okay?
No, it was supposed to be more of an announcement, but it got it got derailed. But in a good way.
Sorry about that. I had to get it out there.
That's okay. Yeah. No, I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah.
For doing this. It's a very cool thing to be able. I think one of the really cool things about this would come if there was not only Wojtek sitting on the other hand, but maybe a pool of people that could then use our whatever our. I don't want to call it crowd wisdom, but they can choose to prioritize what we would like to see prioritized. So thanks for the process.
Yeah, and I mean that will happen, right? So we are looking at other people, and we may have, there may be other volunteers, or maybe things that we can put bounties on.
Michael, we're gonna move on.
Oh yeah, sorry. We gotta move on. We gotta move on.
Okay, sorry.
So, and Loie here is very excited because she is actually the next one. What whitelist welcome, or sorry, the whitelist conditions for reviewers and others, right?
No, I have no proposals about whitelists for other whitelists. Although I understand that this might get looped into, the role of other whitelists being filled by the same person as this. But this is really purely about the reviewers whitelist. So we have a lot more people joining the platform. We have a list of stale reviewers that are confusing to choose from if you're new to this. And it's just a really easy point of failure to eliminate. So we determined a couple ways of doing that. One of them is I'll go with the easy ones first. Just the interaction with people who want to be whitelisted as reviewers. So the first step is that before being added, they would be sent these few questions just to confirm they understand the requirements. And those are, they would get this message. Being added to the reviewers list on the DApp requires 3 things. You have made a milestone before and completed it to paid. You have familiarized yourself with the milestone tutorial and understand how to check a milestone for all the necessary parts and which errors are blocking, which errors would be grounds for rejection. You have enough time to review the milestones proposed to you quickly, within 1 week of them being proposed, so that people can be paid efficiently. Milestone reviewer is documented in your roles on the roles sheet. So that was pretty unanimous on the Lumio, and I will read the next one because it's kind of just the same. And then after that, I'm just going to ask if there's any objections. So the next one is this message that comes after you're whitelisted, the welcome message. Congratulations and thank you. You can now be a reviewer. This is your commitment to check the My Milestones page of the DApp at least once a week and follow through on your actions in the milestone workflow. If a milestone is lacking in clarity, proof, or any element, you communicate this to the maker and see through that they fix it or repropose if you must reject it. You may exit the reviewer role at any time by contacting the whitelist manager the DAB team, I don't know, we're probably going to have someone, Danny has offered to fill this role. So let's say by contacting Danny and letting her know you'd like to step back. We encourage you to take this initiative anytime you won't have time for milestone reviewing, because it really gums up the works and leaves people hanging when they need to get paid and their reviewer is silent. If you are slow with responding to milestones you are slated to review for more than a month, or if you aren't selected as a reviewer for more than 3 months, you may be removed from the reviewer's whitelist. So do we want to do, are there any clarifying questions about those messages, those proposals?
What about the third one?
Hey, it's Danny. I think I feel like I put my questions. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, the questions I had on this one were more around the automation of it, but all in all, I think the process that you put together is really sound. And the only other comment I had was that I feel like in doing the milestone reviewer whitelist process, we should include the campaign and DAC reviewers as part of that role. And I'm
So what was the question?
Like what was Danny's question?
Yeah.
There?
I just didn't hear anything about that automation part. So when it was proposed, it was to automate some of it. So is
Danny,
that still something we want to?
I can answer that. So I was separating. So those were 3 proposals, right, in this thread. And I just put 2 of them together right now because I know that there's more questions about the automated half-life. So I was going to have that be a second proposal after I just make sure there's no objections with these easy ones.
Well,
Gotcha, thanks.
What?
Do we have to do 2 reaction rounds then?
Yeah. Are there any other clarifying questions about this before we move on to the half-life automation?
Good.
Okay. What do you mean?
Go ahead, continue.
Okay. Man, I don't even know if we need to do a reaction round. I feel like this is just
No. We don't. Like there is nobody's blocking. Like I'm having Lumio here. It's all green. There is some abstainers, which is one of them is me, and it's mostly the half-life. So
okay, cool.
We agreed on. Let's just
talk about the half-life. Okay. So as long as I'll give a nice 5 seconds for any objections to those messages being sent to reviewers. 5, 4, 3.
It's for the 2 or for the 3?
For the 2, just for the messages being sent to reviewers, not for the automation of the half-life.
Okay.
Any objections? Okay, proposals passed. So this more complex piece is that there would be a half-life on each reviewer's status as a reviewer. The suggestion that Lindsay and I came up with was 6 months. And oh no, wow, I have chocolate dripping all over. Just realized.
Yeah, I know. Keep going.
Where was I? Okay. We didn't really. So one idea was to just automate. No matter what, after 6 months, people are removed and then, quote unquote, it's easy to put them back on. But I think from the responses, that doesn't seem appropriate. So I'm going to amend already from the Lumio and just say that at this point, this proposal is to have that role that Danny is suggesting to fill every 6 months, do a clean out where if people have not been active, meaning they either haven't been selected as a reviewer for several months, for at least 3 months, or if they have been totally silent on their milestones in their stack, then during that 6 month clean out, they get removed. And yeah, there wouldn't be automation into the DApp. Like I asked Wojtek about the technical possibility of that, and I just don't think he's going to do it. So this is really more just a proposal for like how this role would move forward. Does this make sense? Are there clarifying questions?
I had actually this clarifying question: how deep your conversation with Wojtek was, because I think it would be pretty easy actually to find out if somebody has been very inactive. But did he say it was not very possible, or it was just unlikely that he would do it?
We didn't go. It wasn't that in depth, right? It was just the one I was part of, right? It wasn't that in depth. I mean, basically, the whitelist is on the server. It's not on GitHub, and so you have to have direct server access to use it. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much as far as we got. That's like as far as technical details. That's all we got. So I agree. Yeah. It should be easy to kind of do that kind of thing, but whether or not it's a priority is the question.
Okay, thanks.
So the clarifying question I have around it is more an implementation piece for the clean out. Like, is there a report that can be produced? Is this going to be like a manually intensive process of having to go look at each reviewer? So I guess that's the question I have. Is this a very labor-intensive process to do that clean out, or is there some sort of report that we could do for that?
Well, I think part of the reporting is putting your role as a milestone reviewer in the roles sheet, and so like everybody who is a milestone reviewer will have that listed, and then over the course of the months, feedback will be given on that. And then we can see, I mean, if we have even 3 months from now, three feedback rounds of comments on how people are doing as reviewers, I think we'll know who needs to be removed and who should stay. Oh, and of course, Danny, the point you brought up of whether or not they have active milestones currently is really important. And that's why like having a person to fill this role is like kind of necessary to the proposal, I'm realizing more, because there's just all these pieces that need to be picked up of like, yeah, if there's milestones in their stack, like, before you remove them from the whitelist, you need to contact the milestone maker and maybe make sure that they copy the text of the milestone so that they can repropose it easily. And okay, long answer. Any other clarifying questions?
Reaction round.
I was just going to clarify just by phrasing it back in my own words, if that's all right. Just because I'm kind of confused about the whole DApp side of things. But what you're proposing the tension is the half-life of reviewers. So I'm trying to put this in the notes as well. The reviewer whitelist is on a server, requires specialized access. So somebody needs to clean that off every 6 months or so. That's the tension. And then the proposal is that somebody checks on that kind of roughly every 6 months, sees where, like if people are not active and require a clean out in their milestones, whether they've just dropped off the map, etc. So then there is feedback given on the roles sheet to anyone that is a milestone reviewer, and then if the feedback is like they ain't approving milestones quick enough, etc., then they can be juggled on that list. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And in case you haven't seen it, the Lumio is.
No, I saw it. I just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
So that's what
You summarized well, Josh. Any other clarifying questions?
No. Reaction round.
Okay, reaction round. I'm gonna pass it to Bowen.
I was actually trying to find the actual Lumio for this one, but I am in agreement with it. I think I voted to agree it like right after you put it up, because I think it would be awesome if we could both get new people on there and clean out the old ones. So I will pass it. I'll pass it to Kai.
So I also voted yes on the most things. I just realized now during this conversation that we never talk about if this is only for Giveth use of reviewers or in general for the whole system, or what happens, because this was sort of a role that's should be coming from people, as far as I understand, like in the decentralization process. But I'm all for it as far as it's like now only us, and especially in testing. And I see all the tensions, and I would love to have no stale reviewers. So I think having a manual process right now is good for like having a time of, you say, half a year, and then you check back again and write to people that they might be removed. So I would just like you to think about, or us to think about, how to deal with it in like the big system, so to say. But I like to put into effect all of these things that you suggest now and for us. The only thing I maybe really don't like so much is about the role sheet, because it's again a bit limiting to then you have to be really a part of Giveth, and I don't want to exclude anybody from the outside that might be just want to be a reviewer on the dev for something completely different. And I give it to Michael.
No, nothing to add. I think it sounds fine to me, and I'll pass it over to Danny.
Yeah, I think it makes sense just because, well, I mean, I'm working to onboard people, and I have a lot of questions and oversight as to who's coming on. So it's important to have a role to be managing that, and it makes sense for me to do it right now, but I also agree with what I heard about the decentralization, and that hopefully we'll be able to move to new processes in the future. But this is a good step for now. And I'll pass it to Griff.
Yeah, so, you know, excluding people is always tough for me. Like, I have a really strong bias against it, and I think in this circumstance, it makes a lot of sense. But it needs to be a manual process. There's definitely going to be times where people aren't active for 6 months, but guess what? They're the expert for Bright ID, and it's just Bright ID decided not to use the DApp because it started to suck for 6 months, and so, you know, but they want to come back on, so we should leave them on, you know, like, I think there definitely needs to be some kind of manual, like, we will remove people. I hate the idea of it going on the roll sheet, because it's just starts to be bandwidth. If we do the roll sheet twice a month, the bandwidth of it, like, for those people who aren't part of Giveth, but are working with, you know, the Bloom network or whatever, like they're not going to see it, the roll sheet. They're not going to get on it or whatever. So it's not necessarily an effective solution. And it adds bandwidth to the roll sheet, which is, it actually took me like an hour to fill it out the other day. So that's kind of, it's already starting to get pretty heavy. I'm scared to go too granular there. But other than that, the concept, it makes sense. I think we should remove people from the list. I would rather have there just be a benevolent dictator over the list and less rules. Just let Danny make decisions and trust her to contact people before. Just the only rule being you have to contact them before you remove them from the list. You know, and that would just be a simple thing. But whatever is decided is cool with me. I will pass it to Chris.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing to have this process in place and to have someone responsible for this. If it's, I'm not sure if I understood like how it's gonna go in practice, but I just want to say that I'm also in favor of not automating it, but just it being a manual process, because that would just be like more, I don't know, code that someone has to write. We're just a small group. So if we just have people, like someone checking like, hey, is that person still answering to the questions that we asked them in the beginning? Is that person still fulfilling this job? If so, that person stays on the list, all good. If not, we ask that person and we remove that person, yes or no. There was one more thing about this and I forgot it, so it will be for the next time. And Michael, do you still have to go?
Michael went.
Oh, sorry. Who else has to go?
I think that's.
Did Josh go?
Oh, Josh.
Me, but I don't really have an opinion on this. Like, I've barely used the DApp, so it would be silly.
Oh, sorry. I just remembered point two. Sorry about that. It was just a thing, and it's not an urgent one, but I think in a way it's related to this. It's like the reviewer's job, in which you described really well, is mostly about making sure that everything is there, that the dates are correct, and all this stuff. So it's less about the content and more about the form. So maybe it's something to keep in mind for Michael for the future. I would hope that one day soon we'll go to like randomizing this again, so that you do not select the reviewer yourself, but it just gets selected for you, so that we get complete transparency and objectivity. But that's not this proposal, but I just wanted to bring it again to mind. Okay, giving it back to Lorelei.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, my reaction is just that I do think it brings up a lot of future conversation about like reviewers in general, and as we grow bigger, like, are there different lists for different DACs and stuff? There's got to be some more organization in the future for sure. So hopefully this is the start of having better systems for that. It sounds like we're good on this proposal of a manual system that is operated by Danny. I'll give a few seconds for objections.
Can you restate the proposal in completion?
Okay, so, yeah, sure. The complete proposal is that there's a manual system of cleaning out the reviewer's whitelist that happens at least every 6 months, but maybe it's more of a fluid thing as Danny becomes a benevolent dictator, and that that during this cleaning, people can be removed from the whitelist after Danny has communicated with them about the fact of their lack of participation and checked in with them around that. And that's pretty much it at this point. Any objections? No objections. Proposal passed.
Okay. Next proposal, or well, I guess the next thread really is monthly guest interviews, which is exciting. Michael, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. So, so just to summarize what's in the Lumio again. So last week at the end of the governance meeting, Lindsay was talking about cooperatives and was asking if anybody wanted to stick around and talk about cooperatives. And we had a good discussion about that and lots of ideas. And it made me think, maybe maybe we should have a space, not too often, so I was suggesting to start, monthly, so it's not too taxing for anyone, but to have, kind of a space where we could host sort of a space where someone could come and talk about something really interesting that would be of interest to the Giveth community, both, sort of the team we are now and even the broader community, or people even outside the community could come and join in on that discussion too. And then potentially we could have someone interview them. Could be Griff, could be somebody else. And if the content is, recorded in a decent quality, potentially that could even be useful for some of the podcast material potentially too. So that's basically the idea. And I think, anybody can propose a topic. It doesn't have to be a topic you're an expert on, maybe a topic you're interested in. It just, builds the community. It's a great way to learn about stuff. It can be something really experimental, that kind of idea. And so, and then I just said I would agree to, coordinate that to make sure that that we have a speaker every month and a time, and that's it really. Reaction round. Start with Griff.
Well, clarifying questions.
Sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. Any clarifying questions?
Is this something that is being thought to be a live stream?
Could be a live stream too, yeah. I don't have any, when I was thinking about it, it was mostly just thinking of like bringing in somebody really cool that we could all talk to. It could also be, by the way, a presentation that somebody wants to give on a topic that they know about. But sure, it could be a live stream. It could be recorded for a podcast. I think I defer to the group, which might be the best format, or could be a combination of different things depending on what the topic is.
Cool. A reaction round. Who wants to start?
So I can start. I think it's a lovely idea, and we I want to take again the swing to propose more. When we find like a format for it, I think we should at least try to have like a second day for alternating meetings, or we should talk about like have a second slot for alternating things like the roles meeting and this new initiative by Michael. And maybe, there's a few ideas floating around. It was mostly on the Lumio. Don't know which one though. It was in the side conversation with Bowen and stuff. I think it was renaming the DSC. I just want to say there's many ideas how to get together on video, and it's actually more fun the more people are coming to these meetings. And we managed to attract quite a lot of a core group here. So it's actually nice to have different topics we talk about. And yeah, so as for this specific one, I'm very much looking forward to it and hope you just do it very soon and just maybe not ask around even too much, just do it. And I hope we can even more take some of your structure into like other regular meetings, like maybe strategy or the Giveth strategy or the roles meeting. And give it to Chris.
Sorry, I was completely distracted by roles meeting. Sorry. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to do this. I don't think that we need another regular meeting, in the sense that we are starting to have a lot, and then people will start having meeting fatigue. I think that it's best to just start by finding a good speaker, doing a doodle for a good date, do a quick pre-meet to get together with to get some good questions for that person, and then making sure that we gather some people for do some communication to make sure that we'll have a live audience watching it, and then we can retweet a bit, and then it's a bit of an event. So I would prefer to have very well organized one-offs that have a lot of impact, rather than saying like, oh, it's that time of the month again. Like, we need to have content now, because then I prefer quality over quantity. And then Bowen.
I think it's a really cool idea. I think I was there when I think we were talking about it in another meeting, and I also agree that we're definitely pushing the meeting fatigue point. So I don't know. I generally I like the idea of doing this. Let's see, Josh.
I love the initiative. I think, yeah, you're probably right on the meeting fatigue being a possibility. So I'm with Chris on the let's prototype it, get one in, meet with them, get a prelim going, and publicize it a bit, see if we get an audience, and then try it again if it's a success. I will pass on. Oh, actually, Michael, a friend of mine, also called Michael, might be an interesting person to speak to. I had a point on that, I've forgotten. But
is this the Michael from PGP Foundation?
No, this is Michael Shea, who's at Web3 and deals with my data and solving.
Third Michael.
There's a lot of Michaels, trust me. But he's a good guy.
That's great. Okay, well, ping you afterwards.
Put you in, yeah. Passing it on to who hasn't gone?
I don't think I haven't gone.
Okay, Griff.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I don't think it needs much of a Lumio or anything. I think we can just push it and make it happen. I think it might help with meeting fatigue if we get together. I mean, all meetings are optional, so but now we have such a lovely crew that's coming to all of them. It's just really nice. And maybe having a meeting like this would kind of like rejuvenate, because it would just be a fun interview thing. We just had to figure out a way to structure it where everyone has a chance to ask a question or something, or there's some kind of interactive thing for if it's going to be like, at least the way I'm imagining it is that there's like us that are in this meeting right now, plus some guy that we're interviewing. And if there's a way for us to like interact directly, or maybe we have like some kind of strategy where people put messages in the Jitsi or whatever we're doing, so that people have a chance to interact. And it because it's not fun if it's just me doing an interview and everyone's sitting there. Like that's so lame.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, and I'll pass it to Lorelei.
Yeah, I also think it's an obvious go ahead. And I don't have many more thoughts on that. I'm happy that somebody is taking initiative.
Okay, was that everyone?
No,
Okay.
this is Danny. I'm really excited about this idea. I've done a few podcasts with some people, and I have a few people who have asked if they could participate in some conversations with the community. I think it's a great way to share information about some of our communities within our community too, and bring in some folks who have such great knowledge to share, like from our campaigns and DACs. So, and I really love the idea of having it be like almost a dialogue or trialogue, and have a couple of different people with information to share. So there's, it's not just one person presenting information, it's an active conversation that people can participate in to the degree they're comfortable. So I think it's awesome, and looking forward to it. Thanks.
Okay, so that's everyone. Michael, do you want to amend and clarify?
Well, I love all these ideas. I think I love this idea of like making it into more of an event, and we don't have to sort of structure that it has to be once a month. That we just try to make it into just a great event. And I think if it's okay, I'll take up Chris on his idea to create a Google spreadsheet so people can just start adding their names of ideas of speakers or a couple of speakers that they think, and then we'll just start moving that along, and we'll pick one and give it a try. Connect with the relevant folks here like Bowen and whatnot, so we can see what we can do in terms of recording it and live streaming and stuff like that too.
Sounds good. Any objections? Proposal passed. Okay, so that's it. I don't know if we need to go anywhere because there's a roles meeting. Maybe we take like a 2-minute break if you guys need to go to the bathroom or something. And let's whip out this roll sheet. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Are you in the...
Oh.
We'll put in the unicorn chat. Right. And since Jitsy's live stream is working, I'm just gonna keep this going. I'm not
Yeah.
going to skip. Does anyone actually check to make sure it's still working?
I checked around halftime and there was sound and everything.
Oh man, that's so cool. We'll see if it stays. I had a theory. I mean, maybe Jitsi just got updated, but my theory was that if you start it around like the 40-minute mark or 45-minute mark, that people's meetings that started at the top of the hour would end early at like 5:30 or whatever, and the people that start at 5:30 would be done starting, and maybe there'd be like this sweet spot.
Yeah, that's great thinking, man. I like that. I do think that, like, because as far as I know, Jitsi is an Atlassian project, so they are for sure putting just servers up like they were, I don't know, strawberry puns.
Oh, is that what Atlassian does or something? I don't
Yeah, no, it's one of the big, like, Atlassian is the big company doing open source tooling next to GitHub.
Yeah.
And they do all kinds of stuff. Oh, okay. And they do all kinds of stuff. And Jitsi. Yeah, I'm a bit distracted.
Okay.
Oh, he's got his answers.
I guess we can just start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to just take this on your screen?
Sure. Okay, hello. Yeah, I'm good. Now that I'm actually in the Jitsi room, I will put up the roll sheet in case anyone needs the link to it. Da-da.
Do you have notes for this one? I'm happy to take them otherwise, or both directions, just the link.
Yeah, if you want to take notes, feel free. Although, you know, we don't usually take notes in the roles meeting. Not beyond the roles sheet. The idea is that you we work through the sheet during the meeting and make sure that anything that needs to be noted gets noted in there. But if you are excited about taking notes, I always would say yes to that. But I also want to hear you participating, because sometimes note taking can take one out of participation, and you just did that all of Gov. So I would love to have your voice active here.
Well, I'll come back as a person then.
Oh, good. Thank you. And thank you so much for taking Gov notes. Really.
It's good to be able to store them. Ideally, it's kind of stuff you forget after half a minute, or I don't know, maybe I should say I forget after half a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally a good practice, I find. But if not necessary, I will not take them.
Yeah. Okay, do we have people back yet? Looks like not quite. Give another minute here.
One bone. I'm just going to flake on a kettle.
When Josh gets back, I think she just gets started.
How did Josh say that? I'm gonna flake on a kettle?
I think so.
I think
Sounds
you said
nice.
flip on.
Flip
On. Yeah, flip on.
Ah. Okay, it's not flake on. Maybe
I didn't know he could do backflips like that.
Okay, who do we have back with us? Chris, I hear you're here.
Annie's here.
I'm here as well, yeah.
Bowen raised his hand.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this roles meeting is number 3, I think, and we've had some very fun, very human interaction in our roles meetings the past few times. However, it's been suggested that the rows activity is too time consuming. And especially as we have all of these roles now, we're going to skip that this time and just experiment with diving right in to the meat of this meeting, which is...
Oh.
I know.
Just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Second.
To me, it's an... Hey, stop. You're being really annoying. No. What?
Now I'm curious.
He's giving me the constant, like, speed it up finger, like, going around in a circle. And I don't know. I just think it's really fucking annoying.
Takes all the
We
focus.
don't.
Here, why
It's
don't
not our fault
don't
that you guys are in Thailand.
shaming Griff on this
Keep going.
so that he can keep doing his keep going finger. See, look how much slower you make the process
If
when
we
you do
can
that.
Keep going.
We're not going
We
to.
could have had a rose at this point.
Yes, it's true. That's at least 2 roses almost.
Okay. So we're going to dive right into what needs to be talked about with roles. And before, just there's a few things that I want to bring that we have learned from the roles process the last times. The most important one to announce right now is that when any action items come up throughout our conversation the next hour, 45 minutes, I don't know, please jot those down in your next actions tab on your role. It's a really easy way to just keep track of it. And that way we can check in on it swiftly next month. And then we don't really need to take robust notes for this meeting as long as everyone is jotting down their own, next steps that they realize they need to do. Okay. So I'm gonna first, before going into before me just shouting out these roles that I see need attention from the feedback, I'm gonna give a couple seconds if someone's got a burning one, and then I'll just start throwing out roles to discuss. So if anyone's looking, I need to discuss this one first.
I have a quick one.
Okay.
The quick one is just I saw feedback from Kai, but I thought maybe from someone else as well about funding. Just wanted to let you know that the way it's now put in there, it has actually been consolidated. So there are now 3 roles. And so to make it clear, so Michael is gonna spearhead this and just make sure that we have our weekly meeting and that we continue with this. Jess is gonna be like the person going out to people and to events and saying like, hey, we need your money stat. She has a lot of connections in the space, so that's her specific role. And I will just be like the comms support. So actually how it's in there now, it is actually a sort of, there are 3 roles, but they're more defined than they were before. So we rewrote that. Just wanted to make that clear.
I think where I'm seeing the question on that is actually on Adam's role with grants project support. Kai says, please let's keep funding and grants. Somehow this is confusing. So does Adam's grant project fund in or go into Giveth fundraising or no?
Right now, not, but that's also, I have given a little bit of the same feedback there. Like both Adam and Parker, like what they have been doing for grants specifically. I think that's a little bit on hold right now because, as Griff already mentioned, there's not a lot of granting happening right now. So that's also probably why. But so yeah, it's less integrated with like the funding things that we're doing right now.
Bowen might be able to talk about their status a little bit more, but yeah, basically the granting, so funding is specifically for Giveth, whereas granting is actually a social coding project, and we can use for Giveth just like any group could use to have people help review the grants in Ethereum and hopefully going out larger than that eventually. But they didn't get the support because of the F downturn that they expected to get. So,
Can I ask a clarifying question then? But I understood that Parker, his expertise was like he's a good grant writer, is what I understood, right? So would we involve Parker if we're in a situation where we need to write, a 20-page grant, or whatever?
Absolutely.
So I guess what I'm suggesting is, do we bring Parker in now we bring him in on an as needed basis, I guess is what you're suggesting.
Yes.
So we don't need to include him in these weekly meetings that Chris and Jessica and I and yourself are having. We can just wait till the opportunity exists, and then if he's available, great. If not, no problem.
He's a consultant.
Okay, perfect.
He's got a full-time gig, so
okay, got it.
And a lot of his time is being consumed by social coding.
And that role is actually pretty well documented. Grants, Parker, governance. So you can take a look at that. It's
just that if he could also be part of not just the social coding, but he'll be potentially helping us with our fundraising, but writing as well, if need be.
Sure. Yeah. He's a resource.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Bowen. Bowen's got a couple of roles to be piped up about here, probably mainly because they are new to this sheet. So there's the social coding delegate role.
The top two are new to me because I didn't know they existed until this morning when Chris pointed out that I was working in the wrong tab. Yeah, so I'm not even sure what it is and what it means, because I had made the bottom three, which are kind of the way that it's actually running in real life rather than like theoretically. And so like those are the ones that I can actually speak to. The top one I'm gonna have to have explained to me, and I'm not sure what number, like line 9 is for.
So okay, so 10 and 11 are the ones that you're familiar with?
10, 11, and 12. Okay. And because I was hoping that the people involved would be interested in participating and filling in the roles on the sheet, but I'm not sure exactly where they stand on that because I haven't talked to them about it yet. Okay. But if we can sort of clarify what in this particular circumstance a delegate would be for social coding as opposed to the community manager.
Right. So a delegate is a person who brings either brings information from the inside out or brings information from the outside in, or maybe both of those. So like a two-way delegate does both of those things. Like Griff is kind of a delegate with the Ethereum community, right? He brings Giveth out to the Ethereum community. He also talks to the Ethereum community a lot and brings, their directions and interest and stuff into our strategy. That's an example.
Okay.
And so there's
go ahead, I'm sorry.
social coding and like the rest of Giveth community, right?
Okay. Yeah, that kind of sounds like that makes sense that I'm assigned to that because I kind of am already.
Well, yeah, I mean it's not really an assignment. It's like it seems like what you're doing. So
yeah, that's what I mean. I meant I am filling that role even though I didn't know that role was a role. I just thought it was part of everything else that I was doing.
Cool. Well, maybe you can go in and describe that. But obviously that can get more fleshed out for next month.
Yes.
But
the next one, which was the Bowen fill this in one, I don't know what the deal is with that. But then again, my stuff wasn't showing up on this page, so I think when I think Chris made that, there might have been some question as to like where the stuff is that I hadn't put on, but I had already put it in the wrong tab.
Yeah, and that one is and it could actually be part of the social coding delegate role. That's something you guys have to see, or it's something that you maybe and that you probably do together with Yaler. It's like so there's no title right now; it's just both fill this in. But like the long-term strategy for social coding is indeed working a little bit on like what are the objectives for social coding. Where do we want to go, so that if we want to get funding for all of Giveth, that we have a little bit of an idea like what does
Okay.
social coding stand for?
So that I would have said is documentation. But the answer to that is constantly behind the scenes. Like Yaler and Parker and James have been, and I've been contributing to it as well. But most of the stuff that I contributed didn't end up getting used. On a document, sort of explaining to potential funding sources exactly what it is that social coding is doing. And so there is actually a document on this, and there's pretty graphics and stuff in it. And when it's settled and done and they're happy with it, I would be more than happy to share it with everybody. But that's that the strategy, I guess, or at least, you know, who we are, what we're doing exactly, and what our goals are for the future document is in existence and has been being worked on. So that's also there, but that's an everybody thing.
Okay. So as far as-
I guess that would be the second one, and I don't know if that's documentation or what it would be or what it would be called, I guess. But
well, basically, Bowen, what's ideal is if you feel into the roles that are being fulfilled in social coding, just like examine those and tell us what you're doing. You know, I think that Chris put some things in here to stimulate you filling it out because we weren't hearing from you. But really, like, ideally, you're creating the names and descriptions of all of this. I mean, we have there's no one who has a higher authority on your roles than you do. And
I understand what you're saying.
Who has a higher authority on social coding roles who comes to this meeting than you do. So,
okay, I got you.
All you. Whatever you put in there is great.
Okay. Well, I think I completely fleshed out at least number 10. The other ones, I'm gonna have to reference the document that the guys were writing.
Okay.
Because a lot of
for next month. I mean, there wasn't enough time really for feedback on those roles this month, so we can move on. You're doing good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Was Griff making that sign again?
No.
Move on.
Only in my mind.
Griff will
You can sleep though. Just sleep, man.
Yeah. Okay. The whitelist gatekeeper. This is highlighted in orange because it's a new proposed role, as you guys all heard from the governance meeting just now. Danny has raised her hand wanting to fill it. And I don't know. Yeah, Danny, do you want to talk about this at all?
I don't think too much needs to be discussed about it. We're adding people, and changes that are always happening, and people's degree of participation goes up and down. So more communication with people who are on our whitelist and making sure that they're active, and then identifying when they're not and managing that. I mean, to me, it's sort of just a contact and community with another group of users, right? So it's something that's needed, and it's for what I'm doing right now. So I'm happy to carry it for now as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. I'm gonna unorange this role here because I think everybody's happy with you taking it, and it'll just develop and get fleshed out more. It's just very new to it.
I did fill it out yesterday, and I think so.
Totally. I know myself, I haven't really had it, like, yesterday wasn't enough time to really, like, assess it, and this is such a new role, there's no expectation of that. I think it goes into the stack for next month. Okay, let's see. Also, just a process note, like normally I would like to go in like the day before the roles meeting for me as the facilitator, and go and make orange all of the roles that have some feedback that suggests it needs to be talked about. However, people were really slow and didn't give feedback very quickly. Like I was only just able to get you guys to fill out like updating your roles in the final hours this week. And so for me, like I'm not as able to facilitate as well as I would be able to if this had gone on a better timeline. So if you put some feedback in the sheet that you need to be discussed at this meeting for any role, I'm going to ask you to pipe up about it, because I can't necessarily like see that super quickly. But yeah, knowing that, the next one that I have in orange is Resident Google Sheets Wizard. I made this role, and mainly because, wow, it is so useful having someone who knows how to work magic in Google Sheets. And I know Wojtek is like crazy fucking genius on that. I don't know how he does what he does. Griff is also pretty damn good. And I just wanted to start documenting these skills and have this as a resource. So, now it's on our roll sheet. So anybody who's looking for help in this department might notice this on the roll sheet and know who to look for, who to reach out to. And I hope that that will become, another use of this roll sheet, is to kind of see who your resources are resident experts in certain areas.
Can I make a suggestion here? I was first. Sorry. I would really love to see, because we start to use the roll sheet in all kinds of ways, and I don't know, I don't want to call it hierarchy, but some sort of categorization would be awesome, because this is really something where it makes sense to have, oh shit, I don't know how to do this, let's look at the section of the roll sheet where all the support people are. I also have to think of like Deem, who is later in the list as labeled as technical support, but we are dealing with intricacies most of the time, so people would it would be easier for people if they knew, oh, he's our wizard for Next.js and for whatever, whatever the person is. So I'm all for it to include those things or those abilities people bring to the table, but we could really use a better way of clarify them, like within the space of the sheet. Maybe make an extra section, and maybe make one, like there should be one section with the really, really important roles. Like if somebody has a very strong, like it has all the keys to something, or I would like to see that more reflected in the. That's all. Thanks.
Cool. Noted. Someone else wanted to speak on that?
Yeah, same thing though. It's good.
Oh, nice. Wow. Good job, guys. Okay. Josh, you have some new roles here.
Let me get. So I seen I saw the social coding one, and I just put a question mark next to it because it was already in there. And governance circle maintainer to be filled. I've also volunteered for that. One the thing for Lorelei was actually probably the same kind of issue that Bowen was having at the start of this call, which is like that there has to be kind of a balance between a useful role to others and a self-directed role to yourself. So it's like closing that loop, you can do it one way or the other, kind of. You can have the top down say, you are doing that, And then at the other end of the thing, you can go, I am doing this. And they're both very different things, and we kind of need to find alignment between them. So I sent a link on about co-authoring roles in that regard, because one of the S3 or Sociocracy 3.0 kind of bits within the roles section or the roles pattern was that skin in the game is kind of needed for others to support you in your role. So if you're doing something that the others do not see as valuable, they will not support you. So if you self-direct and choose a role that others do not see as valuable, then that loop's just left open. So I don't want to choose a role that is not useful, but we have the chicken and egg problem, you know? So I'll grab that link and I'll post it back, but I'd be quite interesting in kind of co-creating roles that I'd be happy to fill, and I can provide information on things I'm interested in and skill sets and blah, blah, blah. And you guys could, you know, like each person within Giveth will probably have an idea of what should be done that we don't have resources for. And I'd be quite interested in like picking up and looking at those things while also providing the same similar feedback in that respect. Does anybody have thoughts on that?
Did you have a more specific question, Josh, like about one of the roles that you put your name by?
No, just so like they were essentially already created, so that's great. I can jump on them because they're kind of things that are interesting to myself. I'm just trying to like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have.
How do you see moving forward with social coding documentation?
That's new. I wanted to put it in and say, well, my feedback was what's needed. I'm happy to chip in. Perhaps we should discuss next meeting. So I don't actually know what's needed in social coding documentation. I'm happy to go and find out.
Do you have an idea of who you maybe should talk to about that?
Yeah, Yalo, Bowen, and James Zaki usually, as well as
Ding, ding, ding. Awesome. Okay, good. Put it in your next actions.
Contact people. Okay, right. Yeah, I see where we're going with this.
On that row, just put it in your next actions. Talk to James Zaki, Bowen, Yaler, whatever about supporting this. Get it more for next month.
Yeah, again, so like it was yeah, okay, cool.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. I haven't heard any feedback from people with like any low scores or yellow cards that were given out in your feedback rounds. Would anybody like to share about a role that they feel is maybe not being fulfilled well or needs to be talked about?
Yeah, just to start it off, I saw one Griff put somewhere, and it was just a little remark like on when there's social content to share it so that it's easier for people to retweet. I definitely, if there are suggestions how I can do this better, they're very welcome. In the sense that normally when I tweet, I always share it in outreach, in communication, and depending on the topic, in governance or social coding or general. But like I don't want to do ad rooms all the time because I find that that we already do that more than enough, because then people get notifications on their phone that they have to look right away. So, but if there's other ways that I can stimulate people to share more, which I would love, do let me know.
I'll just prioritize outreach. That should do it.
Okay.
Are you gonna put that in your actions? Okay.
Yeah, well, I always put them in outreach, but maybe I should yeah, I can maybe do an at room over there then, but I normally put them if it's fresh content, if it's retweets of other people, I don't put it there, but if it's a tweet I've written, then I do. But maybe I could put it somewhere in there. For also retweets, I mean.
Yeah.
Ooh, oh, I know something I wanted to bring up. DApp onboarding, brought to you by Danny. This row is full of happy feedback and praise. And I just want to lift up Danny for that. You got, I mean, man, everybody can tell that you're doing an amazing job with this.
Hell yes.
And yeah, celebrating you.
Thank you. It's funny because I was just sitting here thinking about the yellow card that you gave me on the reward DAO part. So thank you for reminding me of where I'm really strong right now. I just want to share that I'm feeling deeply challenged by the challenges that I'm having with the DApp, with getting milestones and even just logged in on a regular basis. And definitely have the next 2 days lined out to solve that problem. I'm kind of feeling like I'm just going to have to get myself a new computer because a lot of these issues just seem to be very me specific.
Oh. I doubt that, Danny. I think you'd be surprised. There's so many bugs with DApp right now. It's really hard to work with.
Oh, did we lose her?
No, I just muted myself after I was done talking because I know it's loud here in the car. But thank you very much for seeing what's going on with onboarding. I have a ton of documents that I'm ready to get up onto the wiki, and I'm excited about the people that I've been working with for this last month and that have a lot of good use for the DApp coming forward, and also really apprehensive about it because of the state of the DApp right now.
Yeah. Danny, what happened actually with that role, the reward DAO role? I can't find it on here.
Indeed. I didn't score that one.
I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the spreadsheet right now.
It's okay, it's just that I actually lost my feedback. This is the second time now where I gave you feedback on the role, and now I can't find the role. But
this time it wasn't me. I didn't delete anything.
Yeah.
This is one of the bad things about having like copying sheets and like working in tabs. Just saying it might be in another tab, or
it's not. I for me that you know, I was asking you like a month ago to edit these.
Personally, with my login, unable to edit existing milestones, and now for the last 2 days, I'm actually completely unable to log into my milestones to even delete them and recreate them, which is what I planned on doing yesterday, and I simply can't.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I was wondering also, like, is this partly, like, have you received ownership of the Reward DAO campaign yet, or do we still not know how to do that?
We still don't know how to do that. I do not have ownership of the campaign itself. So I'm just limited in what I actually have the access to do right now to get these things done.
So I'm just going to take this as an opportunity to advertise that that's one of the DApp issues that you can prioritize this week if you go and vote on that Lumio is, you know, not being able to transfer the campaign ownership. I know me and Danny would really love to get that fixed because there's people that we're losing in Reward DAO right now because she doesn't have ownership of it.
Yeah, and I think Bowen and Yealer could probably switch roles too. I don't think Yealer wants to own the DAP social coding side.
Hmm.
Have you asked Sacha for help with that, Danny?
No, I just reconnected with Satya yesterday on getting the data fund fellows whitelisted, and we got that one done today. But I did not follow up with him about this issue, and I will. Thank you.
He might know. I mean, it's really, he's got to pull some data off, and then you have to, and then Linz has to make some crazy contract call. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I messaged RJ. I created an issue on GitHub, so I'll prioritize both of those two issues. They're out there. I'll just get them onto that list here as soon as I log in.
Cool.
I should be able to figure it out too.
Okay.
I'll give it this weekend, Danny, and if they don't figure it out, I can figure it out.
Okay. Well, I've got the next 2 days. As soon as I land in Michigan tonight, I have tomorrow and Saturday blocked off to get through all of this stuff, and I have time on Sunday too.
Cool. Let's see.
There's my strategy one. I want to have a strategy meeting, but ideally it would be after New Year's, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's in like 10 days.
Yeah, it's just such a long wish. I mean, also of you yourself, I think. We talked about this 1 or 2 times. I'm very excited. Take your time. And that's one of the things why I said before, when I meant meetings, I meant like a slot for meetings, not like have everyday meetings. I meant like have whatever Thursday and Tuesday be meet, or we have Wednesday as well with the. I'm just saying it would be. There's people who like spontaneous meetings, and there's people who like to have. Okay, we're making a meeting. I'm making a doodle, and it's like gets this long thing. And there's other people who like a recurring time slot, so they know this time of the week I can have some Giveth meetings, and I guess it's different for everybody. But we could say something like to make like the Wednesday. I mean, that's what I know. It's true we have meeting fatigue, but we also need to have another slot for meetings because there is some things coming up. Strategy meeting is one of them, and roles meeting here is a good example as well. It could be in the second slot, like so we don't have to announce it really. It just like is on whatever the second Tuesday every month.
Yeah, and I really like, I mean, this is off topic, but I really like what we're doing at the roles meeting where there's 2 a month that are sharing different time zones. Like right now what time is it?
It's 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m.
It's
for us.
1:45, yeah.
And we have a flight tomorrow morning. So.
Yeah, we got up at 6 a.m. this morning.
I mean, yeah, that's insane. It's okay. For me, it's okay. I will shut up now.
Well, no, I mean,
you can go to bed soon.
Oh, that's
no, sure.
Is to hear your voice.
But what sucks is like there's meeting fatigue, but then there's also just like exclusion. It's like we need more meetings so that we can include people in Asia. It's like so that we can have a meeting. I don't know. We have like rotating meeting times, if anything.
There could be a thing where it's like I think I said it last time to have like not roles meeting or something, like have like a meeting afternoon or like a 6-hour slot for stuff. So we could just be in in a way like last time when you met, or last time, like 2 days ago, I think it was, when you just pinged everybody, Lorelai, and said, oh, we're having an impromptu roles meeting. And I don't know how long that was in total, but I think it's one of the reasons why it's so quiet here now is because we did most of the work, which is actually filling out the role sheet, kind of together in that slot. And I think if it was announced, people would be like, yeah, I'm going to join whenever, or it's more convenient, and we could bridge a little.
Maybe that
it's just a suggestion. I don't know if it's so great an idea though.
Maybe it works better for people, this like work session together thing, because it's true that so much of this just takes place in interacting on the sheet. And I always like working like next to somebody in the room with them, or if I have to, virtually in the room with them. So if you guys feel like that worked well, I can put some more focus on that. Especially for me, like I was never interested in facilitating a spreadsheet meeting. I was excited in the beginning of the roles meeting. I was excited about having this be a really like human connection meeting, and it actually is heartbreaking to me that people are like think it's such a waste of time to do the like rose, thorn, bud activity. Because like to me, so many of our meetings are like super nuts and boltsy, and they don't feel all that connective. And so I was really excited about the roles meeting for that reason. So if there's a way to maybe separate out the like the task of the roles sheet meetings with, you know, these ones where we actually connect with one another. I don't know.
I thought that working group meeting we had the other day was a good idea. That you could just, here's a time, jump in, and you can work together with, you know, everybody, ask questions or not, and then people were just coming and going. I thought that worked really well.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it was really good that that you did that, and that is the more practical one. I do, and well, I already said that, but I'm just going to repeat it. I think twice a month is a bit much for a meeting like this, because but you could have like twice a month, like a work meeting to prepare it, so that, because right in reality, people in Asia, it's normally only landscape. The fact that you guys are now a little bit exhausted, to be honest, it's also because you scheduled it in such a way that you have to get really up really early, but you could also just decide to stay a little bit on American rhythm or European rhythm in the beginning. But in general, we don't have that many people in Asia. So the majority of us can join this monthly meeting. And I also do want to say, Lorelai, I love the Thorns Rose thing, and I think many people do. It's indeed the human part of it. And if we do like a preparing meeting like we did before, there is no need to like talk a lot about everything, because for me, it's indeed like I've read everything that people read about my roles, and I think everyone that does this. So like then most of it has already been discussed anyways.
Okay.
It was also just a suggestion. Like, I think it was like partly my fault, because I said, yes, this rose thing, it drags stuff out, but it always seemed like the 1 hour was very short, and this time it seems though that this hour was very long, so we could have fit it in. And just if you want to edit back in, please be my guest. I don't want to be the one who killed the rose.
I'm so glad there's a dead rose emoji. Kai, I'm gonna spam you with the dead rose. Okay, well, Really though, is there like I can't manage your guys' feedback if you don't do it until the hour before the meeting. So I need you to tell me if you put something in here that needs to be talked about.
Oh yeah, there's maybe one more thing. It's the I gave some feedback on like, because I saw that I think Griff put something about a crypto Xmas with Kai under media, but I don't know if it belongs there, and I don't even know in how much Kai is even who has led that part. But like the flow for the website, etc., for crypto Christmas, like I saw Danny giving feedback. I gave loads of feedback, and it was in the beginning I really didn't understand like how to do it, because, and then I mean of course I did, but like if I would have been an outsider, I had to reread everything and click twice and get stuck there and there and there. So I don't know if that's like feedback to Kai or but to whomever created that initial flow. It would have been good to like have
Can you
some
tell
more
me
of
what line you're looking at?
the media line, I think.
What number?
32.
32. So I just don't know like who how that process started. I know there was like one meeting about the crypto Christmas, and then suddenly it was there. And I see they've been like changing a lot, and it's an interesting process to see, of course, but maybe it could have been done a little more efficient. I don't know.
What's your specific question? Or
If it's Guy who has been working on this, because I don't even know who created the initial flow of the website.
Totally different group. They did a hackathon during DevCon, status hackathon called Unbody.
Mhm.
And then they're like, hey, we want to do Christmas cards. And they put this together really quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Okay, then it's no feedback to Kai for sure. it's just like I that was like, oh, this is out now, and we have to promote it. But it was interesting to see that it was an organic process, and the result is beautiful. So it's really cool because it's appealing to people. But I was a little bit like, oh, this is a bit chaotic to like understand what the flow is.
yeah.
But so that's like outside of this roles meeting then.
Yeah.
And Kai just left. I see. Shit. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, it's like kind of just an external project. Hey, it's somebody that's using Giveth.
Yeah.
There was a weird thing on the sheet with where Josh and Michael's feedback got like, I'm trying to find it again because I think I might need you guys to clarify, because I think some of your feedback might have gotten bumped to the wrong row.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah, there's
it definitely happened on the social coding ones for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe you think maybe the sheet was reorganized or
Someone added cells somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
I added the two lines for 11 and 12. 10, 11, and 12 I copied from the November sheet because they weren't there.
Well, it's weird because
it's really weird.
Adding lines should be fine.
Yeah, it seems to have moved the feedback.
Yeah, I know.
Bizarre.
Also,
spreadsheets.
Is this where the reward DAO role disappeared to? Because I couldn't see it anywhere, but now I see Josh's feedback on reward DAO. Josh, are you in the meeting still?
I am. I'm still here. I'm just quiet.
That does sound like what my line number was.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Bowen, is it possible?
I inserted a row above it or below it or below. Wherever the social coding stuff was before, which is I guess at like 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
I inserted under that and pasted in the 11 and 12 or 10, 11 and 12. I can't remember if 10 was there or not anymore. This was before the meeting started. Well, it was during the governance meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't see the reward down there either anymore. But all I did was insert a row and then paste into it.
Okay.
So
You can see it in the history normally what happened.
Yeah.
14.
Sure, we'll have to track that down.
I did delete one line, and that was just a double one from social coding because Bohm pasted his extra ones in, but I just deleted one row. I hope I didn't fuck it up.
I don't think that would fuck it up, but I don't know. Hey, Griff, Google Sheets wizard.
Oh.
Fix it.
Magic. You know what? We've probably got version control up the top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
I'm
do.
checking.
Yeah. But don't just restore an old version.
Hey. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, guys, is there any other feedback on roles that you felt like needs to be talked about? And it does not have to be bad. If you want to celebrate somebody, please do it.
Chris had perfect score on community management.
Woo!
Perfect.
I have to say that I just wanted to thank everyone to giving me such high scores. I was like, it's nice. I really like this meeting. To get feedback, of course, if it's a positive.
Of course.
No, but also to give it. I think it's a great meeting to just like see. I am very, how do you call it, externally reference it. So I live for this. If I don't always know if I'm actually doing a good job. So this gives me loads of energy. So thank you for the feedback, because then I know where I have to like balance stuff out. Yeah, so no, thank you for that. And I wanted to give a rose then in an informal way now to Josh. Josh has been such a help on the wiki, on many things, on just giving his opinion in meetings, sharing information, connecting people. To me, Josh is without any doubt like our next unicorn. So I love Josh. Just had to say it.
Love you too.
Oh.
And all of you. But yeah, it's good to be here and helping. So, I gotta give all you props, but yeah, I've worked a lot with Chris, and I gotta say, like, dude runs around like a mad hatter. Reminds me of one of my better friends within Pillar, who I think you guys should definitely talk to each other because you're in the communication department of open source software together. But yeah, you're both kind of good hearts and chase things in the right way without kind of getting overly stressed about all the kind of mental sideline stuff that happens in these places.
Sweet. It's 2 a.m. Griff and I really want to go to bed. You guys want to check out? Maybe our checkout can be just we each give a sweet little rose to someone, and then say adieu. Does that sound good, y'all?
Yo, sounds good to me.
Okay. Let's see. I don't want to go first. Chris, do you want to go first?
You just did.
I suppose so.
Maybe I can pass it over to Bowen, since I went after Chris, and then he can pass it on to somebody else that's not left.
Yeah, Bowen.
So I'm supposed to give somebody a little rose?
Yeah, just
sharing's caring, like
some sort of awesomeness token.
Well, I would have to say I'll give a little rose to Chris for constantly being there and helping me work out some of this stuff and keeping on top of me about things here and there, like getting those rules filled out. And I will pass it to Lorelai.
Thank you. Okay, I am, let's see, checking out. I'm glad I was able to wake up enough for this meeting. And I appreciate the like casual atmosphere here, and really appreciate a lot the feedback about the sort of impromptu work session. I will work that in more. And I want to give a rose to I want to give a rose to Danny, because this week having a unicorn commitment meeting with her was just like really fired up the love inside of me and made me feel really, really grateful for this community. And as we can all see, she's kicking ass. So thank you, Danny. And if you're there, you could check out.
Yay, yep, I'm here. Thank you for my rose. And now I want to give my rose to Bowen. I'm kind of hovering and watching on Riot all the time. And I just love feeling your presence there, Bowen. You're always there with a comment or an answer or a direction for people, and your presence and attitude is it's uplifting. So thank you for always being always on like that right there. Here's your rose.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Pass it to somebody, Danny.
Oh, can I just pass it to Bowen with my rose?
Bowen already went.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll pass it to
Michael?
Kai. Kai.
Kai just left.
Yeah, Kai left.
Oh, I can't see that. Okay, Griff.
Okay. Griff.
Oh, me. Gotta turn this way. So, yeah, I mean, it's really tough. There's so many roses to give out, but I guess I gotta also give it to Josh because, man, taking notes, just always stepping up to do whatever he can, and doing as much as he can for everyone, like all the time. I just don't know how or why you do it, but you're an angel, and we really all appreciate it. It's so nice to have new energy that's so enthusiastic and stepping up and doing the dirty work, so
One love, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Michael, did you go yet?
No. Yeah, I wanted to give a rose to, I don't know if we can use the same person, but I also wanted to give a rose to Danny. Just because in the last week or two, I think she's been a tremendous resource for me in terms of some questions and things I was asking and clarifying some things. So it's that's been really great. So thanks, Danny.
Oh, thank you, Michael. I love working with you.
I think that's all of us. Thank you guys for coming to this rules meeting. I hope that you jotted down action steps for yourself in your roles. And what are you doing?
I got Danny's rolls back.
Oh, thank
But
you.
that wasn't a reward down roll. Unless
It's the contributor coordination one, yeah. Yay, Griff returned Danny's roles.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you guys, and we will see you soon.
Bye, much love, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys
Christmas.
soon.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Why?
Good night.
Good night.